Howdy, folks. This is Jason Fisher with Fisher Gaming again, and in our last episode, we followed a stream of distress signals that eventually led us to a mine where the Breen were using Dafari slaves to do their labor, and we freed them. But now the battle with the Breen continues as we move on. Cold Comfort is our next one. We are receiving a distress signal from the Rava system. A Dafari transport weathered a brain attack, but they have taken heavy casualties and are requesting immediate assistance. My people do not have military ships, Dahar Master, and I am loath to send a lightly armored rescue vessel in such a dangerous situation. Please, you must do whatever you can to help them. And of course we get the usual experience, expertise, and dilithium in our choice of snow tubers, which can be used to make an interesting tribble, and a transphonic torpedo, which we may have to take a look at. Anyways, let's go ahead and go for it. And we shall take our usual transport, our usual shortcut here. All right, off we go. Yeah, I am not for sure about that, but I think this happens when you're trying to load maps that are not being used, and it just takes time to load the map. That's kind of a guess, I'm not for sure. But it always gets through, so. Alright, Captain, we're being held by a disabled fire frigate. Putting it on screen. Thank you for responding to our distress call. We were bored by the brain, and we were bored. We were boarded by the. We were bored? We were boarded by the Brain and have taken severe casualties. We could have we could we could use any medical aid you could render. Please approach and beam over as soon as you can. Please beam over any medical. Okay. Yes, we're beaming over now. Okay. Talk to Dr. Kosa. By the balance. Oh, that's an interesting cuss. By the balance. You couldn't have arrived at a better time. I need every available person to help with the patient. I think the brain have taken brain have I think the brain take pleasure in causing pain. Few of our crew were killed, but many have been injured. If you want to help, I need someone at table 7. Take the patient's medical history and triage the injury. If it is a minor issue, go ahead and treat them so we can make room for another patient. Alright, this must be table 7. What hurts? Very common medical question. It's my left side. I took a disruptor hit from a brain rifle. Please, I need something for the pain. Do you have anything that will help? Do you have any allergies? I'm highly allergic to metropon. I was given it once in my airway swelled up until I was completely blocked. I almost died. Are you taking any medications currently? No. Do I look I should be? Yeah, no. Excuse me. Have you ever been treated for anything related to this issue? How often do you think I get shot by a brain? Yeah, that kind of. Last time I saw a physician was 2 years ago when I was treated for polywater intoxication. When was the last time you ate? Midday, I guess. What are you doing before you were entering? I was repairing a power conduit on deck 2 when the brain came out of engineering and shot me. They didn't even give me a chance to surrender. I wouldn't have fought them. Okay. Treatment for injuries. There are several medications from the Fari med kits that would use to treat this patient. Ampicillin, bicarbonate, hydroxymetropane. And metropanes are all okay. Once the patient is stable, we can treat the disruptor hit directly with a protophaser, which should fix the damage done to the cellular structure. Get a hypo spray. Oh, here we go. Please select a medication. It helped a bit, but I'm still feeling a shooting pain from the area of the injury. My neck is feeling better though. Something different. Let's try that. Helped a little bit. Okay, she's still in pain. Hmm. It's subside. Okay, pain from the disruptor wound is subsiding. That feels better. Thank you. The beacon is having the desired effect, Captain. We should use the proto laser on the wound and treat it without causing undue pain to the patient. Now that proto laser looks an awful lot like a Klingon tricorder. Talk to the doctor again. Good work. With that last patient, has anyone ever told you that you have a talent for medicine? No, can't say that I have. I've got a good talent for jumping though. I need someone to check out the patient on the table 3. I would appreciate if you can help if you can give us. What? Okay, the most common medical question. What hurts? older boy named Tonska used to take my favorite toys when I brought them to the school. If I tried to fight him to get them back, he'd break my toys, and so that no one could play with me. My mother said Tosca was out of balance. Do you have any allergies? I hated the taste of my mother's stew. I hated the taste of my mother's stew when I was young. She tried to convince me it tasted like spring, but I thought it tasted like bugs. Well, maybe that's why it was spring. Are you on any medications? I used to play in the mud every time it rained. My mother thought I'd risk I'd get sick from playing outside in the cold and the damp, but I never got sick. Not even once. Okay. Have you ever been treated for anything related to this issue? I love it when my mother would sweep me up into her arms and hug me tight. She smelled like love and cooking herbs. Okay, I used to pick berries with my sister on the hills overlooking the farm where we grew up. Okay, essentially it's another memory. Okay, patient seems unaware of their surroundings. I agree, Captain. It may be symptoms of brain trauma, but we cannot rule out psychological breakdown until we do a mental status check. The stress of the brain attack may have been more than the patient's mind can process. Do you know your name? My sister had a doll to call. She used to call Ilka. Do you know the approximate? Do you know approximately what time it is? I love catching unmixed insects. Twilight. The light from the descending sun would make their wings glow like a garden fire. Do you know where you are? Can we have our dessert now? I finished all my vegetables. Do you know what year it is? My sister, my sister is 3 years older than I am. That meant my mom let her do all the fun things while I had to sit and watch. Altered mental. There is something obviously wrong with this patient's mental status. I recommend that we scan the brain tissue for deep trauma. A how do I pronounce that? In that word right there. That's how it's pronounced. That word right there should reveal if there's any damage. Tell me the story of the preservers again. Captain, it appears there is a cortical implant in this patient's brain that's causing the distortions and the delusions. There is an extremely high amount of neural activity in that area, in the area around the implant. Perhaps if we were able to decrease the activity with an anesthetic, the patient would be more responsive. Let's do that. awfully weird. Does that cloud look like a starship? I think I was some. I think I saw something like it once in a hologram about Federation vessels. The answers didn't seem to help. Perhaps you should try a different one. Where am I? I remember the brain attack, and there was this medic. He seemed sad. The the brain implanted me with a cortical implant. It has been forcing me to relive memories from my past. Please help get it out of my head. I don't want to live like this. There's the the antrazine worked, Captain. Remove the cortical implant. It's a tricky process. We should confer with Dr. Kosa, or Casa, I think, about how to proceed. We shall do that. Not familiar with any technology like this. Any attempt I'd make at removing it would be based upon an educated guess. We have some captured brain in the brig waiting for transport to a holding facility. Perhaps you could question them. One of the one of the monsters who did this may to my patient might know how to reverse the process. Okay. Looks a little bit like a Klingon warbird. Or bird of prey, I mean. Continue that on this way. And it would be the two wings. Maybe the Defara got some of their technology from Klingons. Sir, there are a few things you should know about the brain before we talk to them. The brain are a warrior race. They do what is expedient and will often take prisoners rather than kill. You get more work out of a slave than a dead man after all. I spit on their expediency, but to the brain it's only logical. They survive, but they do not live as we do. Strangely though, reports from the interrogation of the brain prisoners reveal that the brain have a strong sense of personal honor and are troublesome when that honor is insulted. If you want to get more information of them, I suggest that you do not insult or suggest they that they kill without cause. Okay? Leave me alone. I don't speak to animals. No, I'm a pretty kitty though. What is your name? Look at you, cowering in the shadow of thought trail. And just killed the bastard. What hope would the Deferi possibly have against might like his? I will not answer your questions. Go bother someone else. Tell me a thought trail. Thought trail has more power and vision than a pathetic being like yourself can possibly comprehend. I'm a political fixer. I'm pretty sure I can understand quite a bit. The Defari will be the first to fall to his might, but they will not be able to last. He will not stop until the entire Alpha Quadrant serves the Brain Confederacy. Someday soon, I will stand on the blasted remains of your homeworld and collaborate our victory. I will grind the remains of your leaders into dust under my boot heels. Thought Trail will be the man who makes this possible. Okay. Alright, let's talk to this guy right here. Torture me if you wish, but I will never betray the Marine Confederacy. What is your name? He's a real talkative guy. Are you are you here to let me go? What is your name? I'm Tran. We've got one. The name. Ask a question, warrior. What is your story? I don't understand what you mean. I am a soldier. I have no story. Everyone has a story. What led you to be here? I'm a combat medic in the Fifth Order. I serve the Marine Confederacy. I was ordered to go to this system by my superiors. I am sure that you have encountered other brain in the Defari sector. What are you doing here? I'm currently incarcerated in a Defari brig. I was captured near the brig when my boarding party was overwhelmed by Defari security teams. While this ship may not be carrying military personnel, a three-man boarding party stands little chance against four fully armed security teams defending their ship and their captain. We gave away the train advantage, and now we are paying the price. All right, you must have known this wasn't a military ship. Why'd you attack it? I don't feel comfortable continuing with this conversation. My communications officer is in a nearby cell. He can overhear everything that we're saying. While I do not agree with his actions in this matter, I respect his position of authority. I will not throw his dishonor in his face. Okay. Huh. All audio signals entering and leaving the cell are being blocked by the acoustic dampening field. Cool. Hello? Can you hear me? No? Good. Okay. Your commanding officer cannot hear what we're saying. My superiors thought that these Defari civilians may have the information for which we have been searching. While I might have disagreed with his choice of target, it is not a soldier's place to question the commanding officer. I think my disdain, dissension, excuse me, I think my decision was was the reason why I selected to join the assault on the ship's bridge. A dangerous task in the best of circumstances, and one that I had the least chance of success. Did you object? I'm not sure how you run things on Klingon in the Klingonian power, but the Brain Confederacy, we obey our commanders. I may not always be pleased by what I'm ordered to do, but I understand that there is a goal that must be achieved and that I may not have all the facts that my superiors do. Do you believe that your goals are attempting to achieve is worth killing? I didn't want to take the ship. There is a nobility in being a soldier. When I enter battle, I know I could be killed. I know that others will die at my hands, but that is what we must do. This is a part of being a soldier. Civilians are not a part of this unspoken. They do not wake up each day know in their hearts, and it could be their last. They should be out of bounds as targets for people like me. What were your orders? I'm a combat medic. Normally, my task is to repair the injuries of my fellow soldiers. On this mission, I was tasked with capturing civilians alive and fitting them with subspace cortical implants. These devices are barbaric even by our standards. We use them to obtain memories from the most obstinate of interrogation subjects. This particular implant has a subspace relay intended to capture and transmit these memories so that my superiors can sift through the secrets locked in our victims' minds, even as we moved on to implants, even as we moved on to implants more subjects, to implant more subjects. Okay, what information did the fire need that you needed? What information did the Defari have that you needed so badly? I'm not sure what exactly. The commanders wanted to learn from these people. I can only guess that my superiors wanted information that they felt could be held by any member of the Defari population. The cortical implants were calibrated to bring long-term memories such to the surface, even going back to the target's childhood. Perhaps they wanted to learn something that the Defari child might know. Would the probed Defari know what memories were being searched? Perhaps, if they had the mental fortitude to recall memories that were triggered during their interrogation, the pain from the implants can be quite intense. How do we remove the implant? Removal of the critical implant is a very delicate procedure. The implants are intended to be strong enough to survive the interrogation process, but too difficult to be removed by the subject or anyone else. I have worked with these implants for some time. I have your doctors talk to me and I will tell them what they need to do to remove them. All right. Talk to Dr. Casa. Hey Doc, gotta talk to you. This is just the information I needed. I will round up a surgical team and we'll begin to the process the removing of the implant immediately. I spent some time talking to the patient while you were in the brig. Sounds like Sounds like the brain implant was triggering memories from the patient's near early childhood, many of them involving rhymes and songs. Rhymes and songs? Most of our patients and, and most of our most of our parents and grandparents sing to their children and tell them stories of our past and our traditions. Common theme in our songs is the preservers. We sing of their travels through the universe, their efforts to maintain the balance in their great archive. My children are particularly fond of songs about preservers archives, a hidden place where they left all of their technology and recordings of ancient days. It's an interesting story, but I don't know if a place like that could actually exist. After all, we're talking about children's rhymes. Captain, the brain must believe that the preserver archives exist. There is no other explanation as to why they would target Dafari civilians in order to obtain information about nursery runs. Before we leave, Trent has a request to talk to you again. He's waiting to He's waiting in his cell. Thank you for returning. I know that helping you was the honorable thing to do, but because I did so, I could never return to the Brink Confederacy. Therefore, I would like to request asylum from the Klingon Empire. I, however, am not alone in the request. There are small groups of Breen that share my feelings. We know that anyone who attacks innocents cannot rightfully call themselves a warrior. If you accept us, we would all like to join you. I will give you the information necessary to connect with them. It may take some time before they are willing to. Your future actions will help speed up that process. That was it. We went We sent him communication based on trans information. We can be sure that it was received so that at this point, I believe that the only thing we can do is wait in response. Who could have imagined that there would be a brain capable of honor? I would have never believed it. I have heard stories second hand. The Defy are now in control of the situation. Are you ready to leave the system? Yeah, let's go ahead and go. Well, let's turn this in. I remember stories about the preservers from my childhood, and of course we have ruins linked to them on Defara, but I have never heard of an intact preserver installation. The Breen, however, are taking these stories quite seriously, and if the Breen manage to acquire preserver level technology, they would shift the balance of power in the entire Alpha Quadrant. It's lucky it's lucky that you were able to establish connection with Tran. I believe that he was to the sent by the powers to help maintain the balance in the galaxy. I am grateful. I know your intelligence service has more questions for him. Your but after that, I promise I'll do what I can to see that he and any other brain who disagrees with their government actions are not responsible. One of your commanding officers was requested to speak to you. You should consider meeting with them when you are done here. We're going to go ahead and take the missile. Well, folks, that was it. Just 30 minutes, over 30 minutes of me doing nothing but reading to you. You know, I mean, and when you consider that I'm dyslexic, that's, well, I am willing to bet the next one's going to be a lot better. But, thank you for joining me. I so appreciate it. Until next time, all of you have a good day and a good